Here at the Independence Reformed Bible Church, we do allow for questions following the service. Who has a question? Tim.
Two somewhat random questions, but this passage about two are better than one,
Yes.
and the court of three is often used during wedding ceremonies. Is that, in your opinion, okay?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, I'm definitely okay with that. I didn't have time to draw it out. I wish I would have, but I'm going to have to change the way I preach a little bit and really switch things around. But I believe that two are better than one connects with the previous verses where he talks about someone who's alone and does all this work and then nobody gets it. And he's not being wise. And Solomon calls him foolish. And I believe that's connected with this because if you have someone else to tell you when you're being foolish, you don't like it, it's really a good thing. And that guy alone in the passage before has no one to tell him. And so he sort of persists in it. So I'm sorry I didn't make that connection. I should have. But you love the question?
I'll say that until after the service.
Okay.
Because it's completely random.
Okay. All right. I'm up for random questions sometimes. But I appreciate that. If there's no other ones. See, now no one else is going to ask a question because they want to hear Tim's random question. But we'll hold. Yes?
The verse, it's just more of a comment, but the verse, Proverbs 27:6, faithful are the wounds of a friend. That verse just jumped out. Profuse are the kisses of an enemy. And it just fit in well what you were teaching on. I mean, a true friend will wound when it's necessary. I mean, and not to wound just for wounding's sake, but to wound in order to bring ultimately, in David's case, that.
Absolutely. Yeah. Thank you. And this could be another sermon, but we are now taught to embrace the kisses of a friend and oppose the wounds. I mean, embrace the kisses of an enemy and oppose the wounds. I mean, that's our culture now. It just is that way. Thank you. Who else? Yes.
Can you talk about chapter 5, verse 6? Suffer not thy mouth to cause thy flesh to sin, neither say thou before the angel that it was an error. Wherefore should God be angry at thy voice and destroy the works of thy hands?
Yeah, the angel there, and appears to be a messenger there, if you will, someone who asks you. It seems to me someone who's saying, "Hey, how did that vow go? What happened? You paid the vow. What about it?" And you say, that was just talk. Well, at that point, it seems to me the sin there is not one of commission, it's one of omission. The sin is, I vowed a vow, and then I just gave an excuse, and I didn't perform my vow. That's what it seems like it's saying, because someone's going to want to know, or they should want to know, hey, what happened here? What are you doing? And that person's going to seem like a messenger from God. They're going to seem that way because they're calling you to responsibility. They're calling you to account. It's going to seem like the messenger of God because I want to know what happened. And that's where their flesh sins, by omitting to perform the vow. And I've heard this before. Let's talk about that very briefly. There are those who put a big thing, I've heard this, into vowing a vow. And it's public and everybody knows about it. And it seems like they're really spiritual. But Solomon says, you're better off never ever. If there's any kind of a chance that you will not perform your vow, if there's any chance, don't do it. You are definitely better if you never vow it. And someone's going to ask you about it, and they should. If you're going to make a public vow, it's public. It can't be like, oh, I made a vow, but hey, that's my business what I kept my vow. No. No. It was a public vow. You're going to keep it publicly. I'll go back to my thing on marriage, which is a vow. It's a big-time vow that we take in front of other people. And, of course, my view on that is, I don't see how it could be done, but if a person's going to make a vow, which is in front of people, and that's what marriage is, right? we have this phrase, before God and these witnesses, right? That's what we say, right? That I'm committing to this person's committing to me before God. We have two witnesses there, many, God and these other witnesses. And then we break that vow because for a reason that's ungodly. Then how about if everybody comes back, call the same witnesses. I know it probably can't be done. Call the same witnesses and break the vow in front of them. Break the vow in front of the people that you made it. Everybody back in the same church with the same pastor and the same two people who made the vow. Okay, that's probably a little impractical, but why are we allowing the vow of marriage to be made publicly and then the divorce is very private? A little bit of a side there. Yes?
Easter question we've
Yes.
been talking about in our house.
Yes.
I probably should know this, but so is it the case that on Good Friday, that's supposedly when Christ
Was crucified and buried. Yes.
and buried?
Yes.
So then, is this supposed to be the day that he rose from the dead?
Yes.
So then, is it like 3 days and 2 nights? I mean, as far as the 3 days, or?
Yeah. Here's how I would address that. Not everybody keeps time the same way. For example, I'll go down a different path and bring it around. There was, during the German higher critics attacking the scriptures, they came up with a, they looked at the kings in the northern kingdom, the southern kingdom, right? And it says, well, this guy became king here, and this guy became here, and they found out it didn't add up. And they were correct, it didn't add up. But then a scholar by the name of Thiel, Thiel, studied it, and he understood that they kept times in different ways. One side, and you've probably heard of this before, some cultures didn't have the number 0. And so when a baby was born, it was automatically 1 year old. Right? They didn't have a 0. And so, and I don't know which one's which, but the kings of one side, Israel or Judah, started at 0, and the other one started at 1. Okay? And he put it all together nicely once he figured that out. And so then the enemies of the Bible had one less, thing. Esther says that for 3 days she's going to fast. And then on the 3rd day, she's going to go to see the king. So if you use that same type of the way they use the language there, Christ dies on Friday, Saturday, rises again on the third day. The way that, Friday's the first day. And we would say that's not the first, well, it's not the first full day. And we're thinking 24-hour periods and so forth. But if you do the Christ's death and resurrection the same way as you do Esther, it makes sense. It's the same thing. Yes?
Let me ask my random question. It's an Easter question.
Okay.
Because we had a question in our house. So, Christ rise from the dead. Okay?
Yes.
He's at least visiting Mary, and so how does he get clothes?
What's that?
How does he get his clothes? Did they bury him with his clothes next to the body? Did the angel bring the clothes? He had to have clothes somewhere. Probably never heard that question before.
No, that's a good one. It's a fair question, though. He didn't bring his clothes with him because they saw they saw the wrapped the wrapped spices and so forth that he'd been wrapped up in, and that was the same, and he wasn't there. So, and his clothes, we know, as Beth just pointed out, I heard her say, he didn't have much clothes left, if any. They had already sold them. The angel could have brought them. I mean, we know the angels had clothes because the raiment was white as snow, or their clothing was white as snow. I don't know. I'm afraid I don't really know. There's got to be some church father somewhere. Some of you guys are into the church fathers that address that question. Help me out here. Anybody?
God could give him clothes.
Yeah, right. Yeah, God could give them clothes instantly if he wanted to. Good question. It's a fair question. And interestingly enough, the reason why, speaking of Easter, just a brief thing, one of the reasons why the first disciples were convinced that he had risen from the dead, not because they didn't see him, but because, I believe this is in John, they saw the folded napkin. They saw the folded napkin. And they knew that anybody stealing a body, or any kind of like person who was, wasn't dead, now I'm alive again, or whatever, or half dead, dragged out, they knew that one of the things you're definitely not going to do is stop and fold your napkin like on the way out of the grave. I believe it's in John. Yes, Wes.
In Matthew 12:40 it says, "For as Jonah was 3 days and 3 nights in the belly of the fish, so the Son of Man will be 3 days and 3 nights."
3 days and 3 nights, yeah, how do we do this? Yeah. In the belly of the fish, because my way is 3 days and 2 nights. And for that reason, some people say, the best I can do with that is difficult, and that's, shall we say, a figure of speech, in that he wasn't like saying exactly, I don't think he was saying there, it's going to be like 24 hours plus 24 hours plus 24 hours. He does say 3 days and 3 nights. I think what he's saying there is, look, I'm going to be in there long enough for you that you're going to know that I'm dead. Now, if he's actually saying, no, it's going to be 3 days and 3 nights, and wants everybody to know that, then my interpretation is definitely suspect based on that verse. But I think we use that kind of, somewhat that kind of terminology. We say, I'll do something the next day. Well, it's not 24 hours. We understand that. It's not as explicit though as that verse. That verse is very explicit. 3 days and 3 nights. That's the best I can do with that. It's a fair question. One of the reasons why I stick with Friday is because I, in my study of these kinds of things, we often are very quick to question certain things. Like, for example, the whole December 25th, Christ being born that day, we're very quick to question that. Right? Well, that can't be right, we say. But we have an awful lot of history before. This idea of the 25th just did not drop out of the sky in 400 AD. Somebody said to decide that. There's history that goes on before that. And so that's part of what influences me a little bit. We have an awful lot of history of Friday. That does influence me, rightly or wrongly. Good questions. What else? And let's not say, it's easy to say, well, it's easy to say, well, that's not important. Was 3 days, 3 days, 2 nights. These are all things we need to work out. We need to work them all out. Maybe we don't need to make a lifetime pursuit of it, but we still need to ask those questions. Well, thank you for your kind attention here this morning.